With Gina.
The news with Gina Grad.
Well, just to round out some of the Grammy talk, like I said, they had to spring into action with just mere hours to get Kobe's tributes ready, graphics and all kinds of things. And one thing they did at the top of the show was Alicia Keys came out on stage and said we never imagined in a million years that we'd have to start a show like this. So we wanted to do something that could describe in a tiny bit how we feel right now. She began to sing the Boyz II Men hit, It's So Hard to Say Goodbye, completely a cappella, and the Boyz II Men crew quickly joined her. Here's a clip of that performance.
It's so hard to say goodbye to what we had. The good times that made us laugh outweigh the bad.
And now take with me the memories to be my sunshine.
DJ Khaled.
How does he
Looking
feel?
somber.
Yeah.
He's like, what are those guys doing? They're singing? What's that? Singing. Oh. You use the mic for singing? All right. It's beautiful.
So
I was
well
thinking,
done.
If something tragic is going to happen to you, and it does many times to many people from many different professions. Famous people. You could be a famous dignitary, in which case, when they do the montage, there's a picture of you like standing up and shaking hands with Jimmy Carter or presiding over something or sitting in the back of a car during a parade or something like that. And if you're an actor, there's a black and white picture of you smoking or a clip from a movie where you come in and talk to your pretend wife. Is there anything better than just endless footage of you jamming the basketball?
Going sky
it is the best. It's just like all it was is here's Kobe making another crazy move to the hoop and just jamming it home. And in terms of the reel they put together, they do a comedian, they show the person holding a mic, but they don't show them.
And we assume
Crushing it, they don't play the sound, or if they do, it's like, parents these days or whatever.
Right.
But just the montage of the dunking. The best tribute ever. We should all get into some field where there's a montage of us dunking.
Now you tell me.
Right, versus sitting around and talking or whatever.
Yeah, what are we doing?
Yeah, if there's you're a farmer, there's a picture of you on a tractor, and if you're a school
Tilling
teacher,
something.
you're standing in front of a chalkboard, but
Right.
jamming a basketball, it's so poetic.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, more will be coming out in the next few days, so it wouldn't be considered breaking. But everyone's talking about the weather conditions with this helicopter, and it was foggy, and they shouldn't have been flying in the fog. Well, I was listening on the way into news radio, and they were saying it's fuzzy math. That doesn't add up. There's plenty of pilots that are trained to fly in foggy conditions. Whether there was
on instruments,
whether there was some sort of failure on the an instrument failure or a possible, complete speculation. Health issue with the pilot.
You know who doesn't do instruments?
Who?
DJ Khaled.
That's true.
He just points at people who read instruments.
Operator error. So that will be, I'm sure, coming. They said this investigation could take a year.
And it was his helicopter. Is that true?
It was. It was a Sikorsky S-76. Yeah, and it had a big Mamba on the side.
And it was he owned. It's interesting that he owned that big a helicopter. I know he used to famously helicopter in from to the Staples Center from
8 passenger.
whatever beach or whatever, but. There's a pretty good-sized helicopter for your personal use. So I'd be curious if that was his.
They called it, he used to fly Kobe all the time. He called it a Cadillac, a limousine of a helicopter.
And it was...
good maintenance, good condition.
Yeah.
They said Van Nuys, the conditions were not good at all weather-wise. They were grounding police helicopters. And we're looking at a picture of it.
Yeah.
And Brian said something earlier. It was interesting, a video of Kobe talking about why he takes the helicopter. And we can play that for you, too.
Oh, okay.
After school activities, all that fun stuff, even on weekends. But then traffic started getting really, really bad, right? And I was sitting in traffic, and I wound up missing like a school play because I was sitting in traffic. And this thing just kept mounting. I had to figure out a way where I could still train and focus on the craft, but still not compromise family time. And so that's when I looked into helicopters and be able to get down and back in 15 minutes. And that's when it started. And so my routine was always the same. Weights early in the morning, kids to school, fly down, practice like crazy, do my extra work, media, everything I needed to do, fly
So that
back,
was his system, and to be able to still be there for school pickup at the end of the day.
I blame L.A. traffic.
You know what? I know what you're saying, and it's not a joke. Like, in a weird way, traffic kind of killed Kobe. Like, Kobe went to extreme measures, buying up the Cadillac helicopters to avoid traffic and like to be with his kids. Like, I was thinking about it. Do you think, Adam, like, whereas it took the death of a beloved NASCAR racer, Dale Earnhardt, to implement the Han system, or really upgrade the safety, like it was a turning point for NASCAR. It's not outrageous to think that this could kickstart, hopefully some real traffic reforms, and not just like, if you're in, you're out traffic, you are traffic.
They're not going to bother to make that connection
I don't
unless somebody makes a stink about it.
I'm with Brian. Yeah, there's just thoughts I was having. Look, all I ask for is a attempt at a solution, which is get a traffic czar, have a team, have a headquarters, like get it together. Pretend this is something you're interested in. Again, it's nefarious because if you bring this up in front of Drew, he talks about that's not what they want. They want you out of your car and onto some Segway bicycle. LA wants you out of they want you out of your car.
Right.
They're not making it easy. If you think about it, especially as you drive through Milwaukee and you go, gas is $2.41 a gallon. Like, think about how hard they're trying. The fuel is $4, more expensive than almost anywhere, probably anywhere in the country. The roads are choked off. Like, they're doing everything they can do to get you out of their car, but But the problem is they haven't provided a substitute. That there's one part of their math. Like, again, we talked about, like, what do you want to do? Want to save fossil fuels and carbon emissions. Okay, what are we going to do? Get people out of their car. Okay, fantastic. How do we get to work? I don't know.
Well, you're going to Chowchilla? We're doing a bullet train.
Right. So that's the problem. All these are great ideas. I'd like to get out my car. I'd like to save fossil fuels and the ozone. I'd like to do all that. Now, how are we going to get from where I live to where I work?
Right.
And because the answer is we don't have an answer to that, then now we must stay in our car, and making it more miserable, which you're doing with the road choking and stuff around here, is that. But anyway, it's dumbfounding that we have the worst traffic in the world and we don't have a traffic czar, and that position exists in other cities.
We have a lot of listeners. We're a powerful show. Listeners all over the world. What if we got the hashtag going, traffic killed Kobe?
Oh my!
Hashtag traffic killed Kobe.
If
that becomes a trending thing, maybe
someone will take notice.
You think I'm joking? I'm not joking. Maybe the traffic they'll address it. They'll put someone in charge. They'll have creative solutions. Something.
Right.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's a good suggestion, because when you said, I wonder if they'll make that connection, they won't bother to, and they don't want you to. But if it's being made for them and they can't look away, maybe.
Not a bad idea.
And you probably already know right now, but just to give all the passengers on that helicopter to say their names. It was also his daughter. She was the second oldest, Gianna, 13 years old, very interested in basketball, which is a big part of this Mamba Sports Academy that Bryant was running. I've
been there.
Is it cool?
Yeah. I mean, it's needed a helicopter to get there from where I am with Sonny, but they go down there. It's a big facility.
It's Orange County, right?
No, it's Thousand Oaks.
Newberry Park, Thousand Oaks.
Newberry Park,
I didn't know that.
John Altobelli was the head baseball coach at Orange Coast College in Costa Mesa. His wife and his daughter were also on board. Also, the husband of Christina Mauser posted on Facebook that she died in the helicopter crash. She was a basketball coach at Harbor Day School in Newport, where Kobe's daughter attended. Sarah Chester and her middle school-age daughter Peyton also on board, as was the pilot, of course, Ara Zobayan.
Where was everyone heading?
Well, I have a map
That's
to show
something
you.
to do with parents and girls.
Yeah, they were
Orange
going to
County
the game.
yeah.
They were going to a game at the Mamba Center, I believe. But they had to circle the zoo around Griffith Park 6 times. So let me show you just on the map how the helicopter went.
Where did they
They'll
take
talk about
off
it.
from?
Orange County.
Watch this.
John Wayne.
Oh, they took off
Santa
from
Ana.
John Wayne. Okay.
And then you can hear the guy. Turn up the volume.
And caught fire. We obtained this from Flight Aware. You can see it going from Orange County to the San Fernando Valley, where it hovered over Glendale at one point, waiting for clearance to fly into the Calabasas area.
Oh, my.
That's when the track of that aircraft stopped.
Oh, that's terrible.
So, like I said, they said this may take a year of investigation.
This is incredibly naive. Did they think they ran out of fuel? They spun 10 times.
They're going around the zoo.
Yeah.
Just waiting for
they're
clearance.
Basically telling. Well, were they telling the kids hey, you get to check out the zoo? You're in a
I don't think so.
helicopter.
I don't think so. I think this was completely fog related because they talked about
I don't
the
mean that.
altitude.
I don't mean the accident. I mean if
The
you're
part where
No,
they're-
I don't either. The circling. From what I've heard so far, it was clearance for the fog and waiting for planes taking off, from Van Nuys, small planes to get out of the way. They
Or
had
Burbank Airport, too.
Right, exactly. They had to just hover and wait. That's what I've heard. But the zoo would be cool too.
well,
but
they had 5 kids in the thing, and you're flying over the zoo. I don't know.
Might as
long
well.
as you gotta hang,
Yeah,
yeah.
right. Meanwhile, this was interesting just because you don't hear from him much anymore. Oscar winner and longtime Lakers fan Jack Nicholson mourning the loss of his late friend Kobe Bryant. Heartbroken Nicholson spoke exclusively to CBS LA's Jim Hill about Bryant after just a few hours after the accident. Here's just a clip from that conversation.
Well, Jim, my reaction is the same as almost all of L.A. You just suddenly, where everything was solid, there's a big hole in the wall, I was so used to seeing and talking to Kobe that, it kills you. It's just a terrible event.
What will you remember the most about Kobe?
Well, I remember him in totality and just how great a player he was. But, I teased him the first time we met. It was in the Garden in New York. And I offered him a basketball and asked him, did he want me to autograph it for him? He looked at me like I was crazy.
Jim Hill, by the way, the ultimate black don't crack. That dude,
Oh, yeah.
That dude played. I think he played in the NFL in the 60s.
Possible.
See, Jim Hill was like a DB on Green Bay. Was he there in 68 or 69? If he played in the
Dude looks good for being 110.
Yeah, he was a Chargers 68 to 71, Green Bay 72 to 74.
But he was in the league in the 60s. In the 60s, he was a safety in the league. And if you see him on TV now, he looks brand new.
We're looking
He
at his
looks
headshot right now.
exactly the same.
Wow. I mean, I don't know any greater example of black don't crack than Jim Hill, right?
Yeah, and a dude who probably sweated his ass off for 90% of his life up to age 25.
He looks brand new.
Yeah.
It's crazy. All right.
So TMZ reports that Antonio Brown appeared before a Florida judge early Friday morning.
Black does crack.
It turns out.
Speaking of which, after turning himself in to police on burglary, assault, and criminal mischief charges, here's what happened this time.
I say this. Can we start some new, service called Nip It in the Bud or something, because you see, it's always like, oh, look at Anna Nicole Smith. She's slurring her words at the whatever
Right.
awards.
So funny.
So funny. So look at this guy. He's having an argument with his coach, and he's got busted for curfew. And it's like, it seems, all this stuff seems kind of cool at the beginning,
Right.
They seem eccentric or different or whatever, and we're kind of laughing along with them. And then at some point, they either OD or they end up in jail.
Yeah.
He was like clearly letting us know that this is the direction he was going.
There's a lot of evidence
for 3 or 4 years, and we all just laughed it off. And at some point,
he's
they're in jail.
self-destructing. Yeah. So he is accused of throwing rocks at a moving company's truck and assaulting the driver in a dispute over payment for a delivery to his home. The driver told police he believed Brown was on drugs when he attacked him. So at his arraignment, prosecutors argue that Brown is dangerous and a flight risk, and he should be locked up. But the judge agreed to allow him go home on $100,000 bond. He has to wear a GPS monitor, have no contact with the victim. He also has been ordered to undergo drug testing and a mental health evaluation, and to relinquish all of his firearms.
The thing I was talking to you guys about before, which is Goop on Netflix, Gwyneth Paltrow.
How many episodes have you seen?
I started.
I was drinking.
I started. Why it's real self-indulgent and not that interesting, and they did one on like magic mushrooms and psilocybin and all that.
Look at the cover, Brian.
Reach new depths. Yeah, she's standing in giant vagina.
That's cool.
It's kind of what you would think. It's Gwyneth Paltrow not doing any of the things that everyone else is doing, and then she comes back and they like Bryant Gumbel report to him how it went, but she's not dropping acid or jumping in a freezing lake or anything. She's just hanging around. Talking to everyone about it. And
Chris, you'd watch Chloe's Revenge Body with like Khloe Kardashian, and like she would come in at the beginning and like meet the person and like cry with them, and then hand them off to a trainer for 45 minutes, and then come back like, oh my god, you look amazing. He's like, wow, that's light lifting, no pun intended.
So Gwyneth is doing that, and it's different things that women probably and some men could do to improve their lot in life. And again, it's Whitey's out of problems, but the Wim Hof guy, the cold weather guy, talks about breathing and regulating your breathing and blah, blah, blah. And it was interesting. There was one of these Whitey out of problem chicks, and she just had semi-frequent or reoccurring panic attacks and was on a medication and blah, blah, blah. And then she said, ever since I started doing the breathing and starting every day with a freezing cold shower, it's all gone.
Wow.
Well, why wouldn't it all be gone? It's a panic attack. It's not a bear attack.
Yeah.
It comes from within.
Yeah.
There's some part of your brain telling your spine to do something. And it doesn't have to. And you would never experience it when freezing water is pouring on your head. You have a different kind of feeling with that.
Yeah.
You're taking some control over yourself. Causing the pain gives you the control. People think, I'm going to take my own control, and I'm not going to take shit from anybody, and then they just turn themselves into an asshole. Inflicting it is what really gives you the control, the work.
Sure.
So magically, she's doing the cold. She doesn't have a cold tank or anything. She's doing a freezing shower in the morning, and she's off her meds.
Question. Just because I would imagine that from what you just said, this would be the other side of the coin. Is that how you get a cutter? Because you're kind of in control.
Yes. I am no longer being, molested. I couldn't control being molested when I was 7. This I can control.
Pain I can control.
And I'm cutting on my leg.
Right.
Yes, I think it's the same part of your brain.
It's interesting.
And you'd be better off doing the freezing dunk than doing the cut.
That's right. So actually, Brian, I wonder if Christy, I'm sure Christy will have some thoughts about this coming up with Super Bowl coming up. Fox Sports has added more commercials to Super Bowl 54, according to Ad Age. So a football game that goes about 4 hours will probably go even longer on Sunday. Brutal. 2 months ago, Fox announced advertising space for the game between Kansas and San Francisco was sold out. But big money sponsors asked for additional time. And by the way, Kansas City, sorry, I know it's in Missouri. I used to live there. Each 60-second commercial costs around $11 million. The NFL devised a way to increase commercial slots, of course. A TV executive admitted they just couldn't resist the extra revenue, so they've been working with the NFL to figure out a way to, quote, expand the inventory.
Brutal.
Well, I was sitting on the plane, and I was thinking, as, I was banging shoulders with Mike August, who's a pretty sturdy guy. It's like, plane seats keep getting smaller. Everything keeps getting smaller. You know what I mean? It's so incremental. If we just got a couple more rows in this baby, think how much we'd make over the course of the lifetime of this airplane. You know what I mean? So things get smaller where there's more money to get smaller. So airplanes are getting smaller. Plywood is getting thinner. Super Bowls are getting longer. So it's not always big or small. It's where's the profit.
Right.
And as you shrink the seats, the profit goes up. And as you lengthen the Super Bowl, the profit goes up. that will always be a constant.
Yep.
The Super Bowl will be 9 hours 25 years from now, and we'll look back on
cricket.
4 hours like it was quaint, and that's how it shall go.
Right.
It can go no other way, because at 11 million a minute, who's not going to make room?
Who's turning that down?
Right.
Another example of that I think about every fucking day, and I hate it so much when it comes to that kind of thing. Every spot in every parking garage is a compact. And guess who doesn't have compact cars? Most of us. But they get more people to pay and circle and circle and circle and damage other people's cars so they can fit more slots.
I'll be watching intently because there's a few connections. One is I got the early word that a Paul Newman race car may be featured in a Budweiser commercial.
Ooh.
Now, that was not directly, but there has been, I did hear about this.
Why didn't they use one of your cars?
It's a very good question.
Okay.
I own 3 of his championship cars, and there's 4. They used a 4th. Okay. Well, that car says Budweiser on it.
Oh, okay.
So
there you go.
I have a
That's
Newman.
an answer.
I think I have a Newman car or 2 that says Budweiser on it, but they use this Budweiser car. So Budweiser wants to do a commercial with Newman and Budweiser. Makes sense.
Okay.
The other thing that's interested in the Paul Newman cars is the next car that he went to in Max Pata. If you find a picture of that 300 ZX 2+2 race car that is mine, he did Budweiser and he did Planters Peanuts. And Planters Peanuts is going to kill off the
Mr. Peanut.
Mr. Peanut.
Yeah.
So at some point, I'll be buzzed and I'll say to somebody, they killed Mr. Peanut. I got the peanut on that. They killed the car that I have, but then they used the other car that I don't have. And the person will go, well, there you go. And that'll be the end of our discussion.
Yeah.
But it is weird that there's 2 liveries and 2 connections to 2 commercials, theoretically, that'll come up. Oh, yeah, that's me driving Mr. Peanut Planter's car. And Planters and Budweiser were like his two biggest whatevers.
Mm-hmm. I don't mean, pardon the pun on this, but aren't they planning like a Mr. Peanut funeral in the middle of the Super Bowl? Bad taste.
I don't know.
Is that the point of killing him now?
Too soon.
I can't figure out if this is good or bad for me and my car with Mr. Peanut on it. But I don't know. It kind of reminded me way back in the day when they blew up the clown at Jack in the Box.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. Not a dry eye in the Dawson household when they blew up that clown. He was like, my tacos! And then at a certain point, he got himself right and he realized.
My Jumbo Jack!
So Planters paused the ad campaign following Kobe's death.
That's what I was wondering about.
Yeah.
That was what I'm saying, why it's in bad taste.
But they have not made any changes to their plans for Super Bowl Sunday.
Interesting.
Oh,
well,
so they're running the commercial anyway. Wait.
Well, they've been like hyping it up.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
on Twitter and.
Oh, okay. Huh. But okay, so this the idea of somebody being killed off seems like a bad plan now. But the commercial's running during the Super Bowl.
As far as now, yes.
I wonder if you can find any information on a Budweiser Paul Newman commercial. Everything's secret,
right,
so
I
guess not, but not so secret that somebody didn't say something.
They're typically not secret anymore. They start running the commercials, some of them before the Super Bowl, and they always release some sort of press release like, oh, Budweiser has so-and-so or so, you know what I mean? Like, so there will be,
hype it up.
This week there will be certainly information.
Oh, there will be. Okay.
I may be wrong with the 90% chance.
I thought they wanted to unveil them.
That does happen sometimes, but now you get more. Christy can speak to this. You get much more mileage out of long playing it. You have a build-up. You have all that announcement or reveal. They release it online. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'd be curious to see if that's going to happen. All right. Let's do one more, Gina Gran.
All right. Well, that one's a little heavy. That one's a little heavy. Here we go. This is my favorite. The hugely popular event where scorned lovers can name cockroaches after their exes who will then be fed to zoo animals is making a triumphant return this Valentine's season.
What?
They started
not in this country.
In this very country.
Oh, man.
In El Paso.
Well, that kind of makes sense, but no, PETA's not involved? Isn't PETA outraged?
They got to eat.
The animals, yeah.
This Yeah, but you're making a show of it.
Yeah,
like this.
you're showboating.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. The El Paso Zoo started the Quit Bugging Me event last year, which quickly became a big viral sensation. This year, they'll be including animals from all over the zoo, like meerkats and primates and birds and mammals who'll get to partake in the cockroaches named after your ex. The animals will be receiving the cockroaches over a 3-day anti-Valentine's Day event, a promotion. So the name submission form will be opening soon on the zoo's website. All names must be submitted online, first names only, and I guess they write it on the little cockroach, which may be the PETA problem, and then get fed to the critters.
I wonder what they write it with, number one, and then number two.
Yeah.
Syrup.
Isn't your work done when you put the name on the cockroach? Like, it doesn't need to be eaten by an anteater anymore. It's done.
Right.
That is the cockroach you used
Gilding the
to
lily a
date.
little bit.
Yeah, but that sounds like a man who's never been spurned.
What? Also, I thought everything ate crickets. Cricket was always like at the pet store.
Can't write on a cricket.
That's true. God, they must. I was going to say grow the cockroaches, but they must cultivate them,
Harvest
right?
them, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Go to some sewer somewhere.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I was thinking, I'm going to get into this deeper, but we were talking about the zoo earlier, and we used to treat the pet store like the zoo, which is you're gonna walk through it and look, but you're not fucking leaving here with anything.
No,
you just
never.
look.
We just did that with Tessa.
Oh, really?
Took her a little aquarium place for that fish. We just stared at the fish.
Yeah, much
She loved
cheaper.
it.
Budweiser did a Newman promo in September.
Yeah, so they released apparel commemorating his 1979 racing team.
What?
Oh,
Yeah, so and here's we have a clip
wait a minute.
here.
That's my car. Sorry, he's putting us
40 years ago.
40 years ago.
He's clicking all
This
the
is the
buttons.
historic win at Watkins Glen.
An iconic driver
Paul Newman with the Budweiser on the car.
in an iconic car
Oh, that goddamn C production.
Yeah.
God damn it. That's not my car.
made history.
If you're spending $11 million on 30 seconds or whatever, you need to get your money's worth, man. Start in
Inspired
September,
us
keep
all.
it going for a year.
Yeah.
Oh, man. How about the one? He won the GT1 championship in 2 cars. They're 100 feet from here. God damn it. Oh, Watkins Glen.
Are you so pissed right now?
Is that supposed to be Paul Newman?
It's not Paul Newman.
No.
No. They should have just got a black guy so you didn't think it was him. That is the C production car. Well, there it is, C production. Right when I said C production, all of life should work that way. I just say something and it pops up on the screen. Son of a bitch. All right. So Budweiser's getting back with...
Yeah, the old school racing team.
Yeah.
This bud's for Paul.
They started this months ago, yeah.
No contact with the ace.
Yeah, but it seems like they took it down because they had an Instagram post that had all this stuff, and they took that down. So I don't know if they halted it to reconfigure it a little bit.
I don't mean to add fuel to the fire, but this seems aggressive toward you.
Everything's an attack.
I mean, that's aggressive. You have all the carbs.
I have the helmets and the fire suits.
I think it's an attack.
And everything. I drove his GT1 championship car, but they're not Budweiser. Maybe that's what it is. But I have a Bud car. But he didn't win
Something
a championship.
stinks to
Doesn't seem like it to me.
Didn't win a championship.
Not from what
in
I
it.
saw.
Oh, man. These are serious first world problems, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Gina, do we bring it home?
We're going to bring it home. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
That was the news with Gina Grad.